Our lives are not our own. We are bound to others, past and present, and by each crime and every kindness, we birth our future. Ahoy and blessings. My name is Isaac Jocelyn. This is the story of my path of healing through this life's deepest conditioning and suffering, which led me to remember the innate desire to be of greater service to the collective. I was raised from the age 8 months old on the north shore of Lake Tahoe, California. Most of my life up until age 42 entailed partying, working in outdoor sports like skiing and snowmobiling. My father was a ski instructor at a local ski resort. His main income was a small pool and spa service company that I worked with him in for 20 years, with second jobs through the winter seasons. I was the only kid in my 7th grade class who had a job on weekends. Over the years, we ended up doing fairly well as far as material items and stable housing. By the end, we never had time to enjoy all that, though. Looking back, despite all the things I had, or friends, or days skied in the season, no matter how beautiful my surroundings, or how stable my life circumstances, from an early age I always felt there was something else, something more I should be doing. At the beginning of my 4th 7-year cycle, the first Saturn return, I entered into a bit of a shotgun marriage, which lasted 13 years. During the course of the marriage, my brother committed suicide. We lost our house during the housing bubble crash in 2010, and had to live in my parents' house with our 2 children. And then my mom passed away in 2017 from pancreatic cancer. Being brought up in a somewhat dysfunctional family, along with everything else I had been told by this life, how to be, who to be, what to be, all the conditioning, my subconscious mind was at full capacity. And when my wife left me abruptly for a longtime friend and mentor, I completely collapsed, and I became an island. Three months prior to the divorce, I was 240 pounds at 5'8". I had made a choice to lose weight, and I had lost 35 pounds by the time the divorce occurred. And I kept losing weight for 3 months after, down to 165 pounds. Yet, while I was in great physical shape, inside I still felt like a ship that had slipped off its mooring and disappeared into the fog. And this beautiful place I'd lived so long and had such an amazing life in suddenly lost its allure. In fact, it felt as if I was in the grip of some giant creature's claws. And I had the hull of a shipwreck called a life of repression, depression, anxiety, and lost hopes and dreams to sift through and resurrect any usable components. The divorce was the catalyst for me to look back over my life to find where the fears that had been creating my reality for so long came from. I dove headlong into the rabbit hole of self-reflective remembrance. I entered into what many call the dark night of the soul. The arrival of this extremely depressed state was swift, and I was nearly unable to work. Suicidal thoughts daily, in a state of denial about my ex and old friend. I was in a very dangerous place for anyone to be in. I had been reading spiritual books and trying meditation, but it was too little too late for where I was. Then a friend brought me to my first ayahuasca ceremony, and in one night I went from dangerous to myself depressed to crying tears of joy knowing I'd be okay, no matter what. A few months later, I was introduced to what is commonly called toad medicine, and that experience changed the trajectory of my life in the best of ways. It was around this time I was introduced to the gene keys in human design, which I gravitated towards immediately. I worked with the Gene Keys Golden Path for the next 3+ years, while also reading other works, finding a great symbiosis in particular with David R. Hawkins' trilogy consisting of Power versus Force, The Eye of the I, and I, Reality and Subjectivity. In 2018, I went to Burning Man for the first time with many of the people I had met in ceremony, another huge eye-opener in my life. One of the most potent cosmic lessons about manifestation I learned that year. In 2019, I worked at a gold mine deep in the Alaskan bush on the south side of the Yukon Valley. I faced into some deep fears in that place, and also found a part of myself that was lost in the process. Then the COVID circus started up everywhere, which gave me plenty of time to read, study, and self-reflect. I met the woman who recently introduced me to Purium during that time, Shalif Sarois. Thanks, Shalif. By 2021, my father had connected with a longtime friend as a partner, and he sold the pool business and house and moved to live with her in Idaho. He gave me my truck, $50,000, and on he went. I spent a year in the city trying my hand at horticulture. In working with Gene Keys, I had developed a habit of leaning into and sitting with feelings in deep contemplation. In June of that year, I had been sitting with some very deep feelings for 3.5 months straight, listening to them. In fact, it was a last-ditch effort to end this constant recurring hurt. I had finally chosen to find the bottom of that hole and face it, and it resulted in a breakthrough. I awoke one morning to the memory of entering the body while in the womb. I felt the amniotic fluid, and the warmth and love. A week passed as my being began thawing, and then another memory came, of traveling through the birth canal. Everything became clear. I wept indescribable, neutral tears. Tears of admiration for the resiliency of our species in the face of all the deception, the brutality, all the lies, and the poisons that our species has endured over the millennia. I could only be astonished as it all became clear. For the next 2 months, I felt as if I'd just stepped out of a ceremony. Miraculous things were occurring around me. I was shown true sidereal 13th sign astrology and its application to human design, and immediately saw its accuracy, whereas a year prior, I couldn't see it at all. It was a true, natural awakening, and the process I went through is precisely similar to what Eckhart Tolle describes leading up to his awakening, which he describes in an audiobook version of The Power of Now. It soon became apparent to me who were true friends and who were not. After struggling with the realization that virtually nobody could understand me after the awakening, and why they couldn't, I walked away. I sold most of my material possessions, dropped my horticulture endeavors, and went gypsy in my truck in a 22-foot camper trailer with my son and his girlfriend. The last few years, we've been bouncing between Tahoe City and Nevada City. Last May, after so much inner work and constant self-observation, I finally recognized and accepted a calling that I've had since my first direct spiritual experience in ceremony, the calling to serve Toe medicine. A few months later, my friend Shalif introduced me to the PEEPS program around the same time that I was introduced to a man who's been serving toe medicine for 23 years. He has a healing center in Costa Rica that I recently attended my first training after 2 weeks. While I was there, I attended a gathering called the Bliss Burn, where I met an amazing woman from Toronto who's a brand partner with Pyrium, who inspired me to get going and starting my Pyrium business. Thank you, Allie. I see Pyrium as a way that I can help myself while and by helping others. It is a way for me to bring in enough income to be able to travel around and serve sacred medicine to those who need it without cost being a critical issue. This is my why, because I want to be a part of the solution. I can't think of a better reason to do, well, anything really. So greetings and salutations. It appears to me that most people here are of a similar mindset, and I'm grateful to be here.